So, shall I start, ma'am?
Sakina will introduce and
There are some
just
note
the
or something.
initial. Yes. Yeah. So Sakina, are you okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Start.
ma'am. We are starting now.
Start.
So, hello everyone. A very good evening to one and all present here, and warm greetings from SVKM's Dr. Bhanuben Nanavati College of Pharmacy. Hoping everyone is safe and healthy. So, being pharmacy students, we are always made aware of the various initiatives and research which is conducted in the healthcare world. Many events take place year round, making everyone aware of the various health campaigns. And since July is considered as the World Sarcoma Month, and that comes under the umbrella of cancer awareness worldwide. So today we will celebrate the World Sarcoma Month. Sarcoma is something we all have heard about, but don't have in-depth knowledge about it. So hence on this special occasion, and as I said, celebrating World Sarcoma Month as Cancer Awareness Initiative, we invite everyone on this learning journey of Stronger Than Sarcoma. But before we begin, we would like to invite our dear principal ma'am, Dr. Munira Momin, to say a few words.
Yes. Thank you, Sakina. Very warm welcome to one and all, and especially Dr. Aparna on the virtual platform of SPKM's Dr. Bhanuben Nanavati College of Pharmacy. So in 0 hours, before we started the introduction and welcome, we discussed multiple points, and it was like the opening of the seminar. So without taking much of a time in giving the introductory remark, we have already discussed some of the points between me and Dr. Aparna, and some of you must be listening to that. I would give platform to Dr. Aparna immediately so that she can start sharing her experience and her advice to youngsters, and her experience of dealing with patients, and how she feels about sarcoma and cancer in general, and what she can advise to our students, youngsters rather, I would say, to lead, how to lead their life. So with that, once again, welcome Dr. Aparna, and we are glad and we are thankful to you for taking out your time today for a noble cause of spreading the awareness about cancer, sarcoma. And I'm sure it is going to be a lifelong learning for our students, and they will imbibe some of the learnings from your talk, and which would help them live healthy life, and they will further spread awareness about sarcoma and cancer to their friends, family, friends, and the society. And that is how we aim at any awareness program. You as a professional and we as a pharmacist, we always believe that we are a strong, one of the strong pillar of pharma, of societal healthcare system, and it's a bit of our responsibility to make sure that we do a bit of that duty to see the healthier newer generation and the healthier society. So thank you with that. Thank you once again, Dr. Aparna. Thank you, my team at SVKM, for identifying this area and keeping a tab on various awareness activities and identifying very good speakers. So thank you, Cultural Committee, Arundhati Madam, Sandeep Sir, and the entire council, which is a wonderful, energetic team I have. Quite grateful and thankful to them for conducting such activities. So thank you once again, and welcome all on the virtual platform of BNCP. Back to you, Sakina.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we would like to welcome our guest speaker for today, Dr. Aparna, ma'am. And before we hand over to you, ma'am, we would like the audience to know a bit about you before we start ahead. So, Dr. Aparna Srivastava is a consultant medical oncologist at Nanjapa Hospital, Shimoga. Completed her MBBS with 3 gold medals from Bangalore Medical College. Completed her MD in pediatrics from Pigmore and specialized in oncology from MRCP in UK. Has excellent skills and clinical assessment and treatment of patients in acute leukemia. Has got more than 10 publications in national and international journals of medical and pediatric oncology. university rank holder and a gold medalist in ophthalmology and community medicine. We congratulate ma'am on all her achievements and appreciate her presence with here today. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be gotten this opportunity to meet you all virtually, and I thank all the organizers for this great opportunity. And in this COVID pandemic, the services of healthcare workers, it is really appreciated in the whole country, and I salute all the pharmacy professionals for all their help during the COVID pandemic. So I'll start sharing my screen. I have this small PPT. Yes, so yes, is my screen visible?
No, madam. No, madam.
No? Just a minute. Is it now?
Yes, all right, madam.
Yes?
Yeah, visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead, madam. Yes, visible.
Yes, yes. So today's topic is sarcoma. So as Sakina said, that sarcoma is a small part of the whole story of cancer, and let us understand, we'll try to understand more about the sarcoma, and in general let's learn something about cancer. So the agenda for this talk is, first we'll understand what is the burden of disease in India, and what are the symptoms of cancer or sarcoma, and how do we normally treat this cancers or sarcomas, and what is the importance of pharmaceuticals in the treatment of cancer. So have you ever heard of this word sarcoma before? So this is an old movie called Anand. Maybe you are all very young and you might not have watched this movie. So this is a Amitabh Bachchan and Rajesh Khanna starer. So this, in this movie, there is this a patient with cancer, Rajesh Khanna, who will be suffering from lymphosarcoma of the intestine. Have you watched this movie? Any of the audience have watched this movie? He'll be a terminally ill. Yeah, so it's a very nice movie. You may take the opportunity and watch this on the occasion of Sarcoma Awareness Month. So he'll be terminally ill. His cancer will be inoperable, but he'll take it in a very bold way, and he'll fight cancer. So his relative, she will ask, what do you have? He will say that अगर मैं कहता lymphosarcoma of the nose, तो तुम कहती वाह 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 वाह, क्या अच्छा नाम है. So this Munna Bhai MBBS, I'm sure all of you would have watched, and in that he'll be a fake doctor who will be looking into the X-ray of the skull, and he will say जिसका डर था वही हुआ, lymphosarcoma of the intestine. So that is sarcoma. Thanks to our Hindi film industry, it is introducing us to different cancers. So so that means they are giving a picture, very gloomy picture of cancer in the movies. So you're all colorful generation, no, the younger generation. You might have watched this movie Dil Bechara. He'll have his leg. He'll have a tumor in his leg. This Sushant Rajput, and he'll get the tumor removed, and that will be the osteosarcoma of the femur. So So they portray cancer as a very gloomy disease. So you have watched this movie? Any of you have watched? They'll show the sad story of this. Yeah, they'll show
Yes,
it in a very sad way that they are about to die and how they lead the life. So I think we should give a message to the Hindi film industry that they should show some positive stories and success stories also along with these gloomy stories. So that is sarcoma. So let us see. So jokes apart, now let's learn about sarcoma. It's a very aggressive type of cancer. Among the cancers, sarcoma is known to be very aggressive. It is known as a killer. So the sarcoma, it arises from muscles, bones. So in this movie Dil Bechara, it arises from his bone. So it can arise from any connective tissue. It can arise from, or if it arises from the fat, it is called liposarcoma. So usually it affects the arms, legs and trunk, but it can also affect the stomach, intestine and uterus, like in the movie Anand. So sarcoma is a very aggressive type of cancer. So let's see what cancer is. What is cancer? It is any uncontrolled cell division. So as we all know that cell division keeps happening every day. Suppose we get a cut and the cut has to heal. Cells have to divide and make a bridge and heal our body. So cell division keeps happening every day in our body. But when this suppose the cut got healed, but still the cell division hasn't stopped. The cells keep dividing again and again, and becomes an uncontrollable cell division, and that's what forms a tumor or a growth, and that is what is called cancer. So usually cancer is an umbrella term. You might know the meaning of how the word was derived. So cancer is derived the earlier our in the ancient culture, when people used to do dissection of these tumors, they used to see this this tumor is a very vascular, highly vascular structure. It to grow, it needs lot of blood vessels. So over the tumors, they used to see lot of blood vessels, and those blood vessels used to be very tortuous and very crooked. So it looks like the feet of the crab. So that's why the name cancer. It looks like a crab's legs, all the veins over the tumor. So cancer is an umbrella term for all uncontrolled tumors, but carcinoma is one which arises from epithelial structures like skin or the gut epithelium, the GI tract or lungs, the epithelium with the coverings of our body. If it arises from our coverings, it is called a carcinoma, and if it arises inside from the connective tissue, it is called sarcoma. So that's all. That's the only difference. So when we do the pathology, when we see the from the tumor, if you take a biopsy and you look it under the microscope, you will come to know whether it is a carcinoma or a sarcoma. So why are we discussing cancer at all? Why is it important? Because when you take non-communicable diseases which are not contagious, like suppose you take COVID is contagious. But when you take non-communicable diseases, heart problems are the first killers, and the second killers are cancers. So that's why it's become, and as your madam was also telling, principal ma'am was telling that we are hearing this word cancer very often. Many people are getting affected, and it has become like an epidemic. And you won't believe that as an oncologist, even I am surprised why are so many people getting affected with cancer. So it is it is an increasing health concern. That's why we are discussing cancer today. So take the global scenario about cancer incidence and cancer deaths. Number one is China. So China is forward in all. You take this Olympics or you take mobile phones, toys, everything. China is number one, and second one is USA. So Americans, they are very forward. Even in diseases, they are number 1 and 2. But India, see, we are a developing country, and we need lot of resources for the development of the country. If we spend everything for diseases, then what will happen to the future of our country, isn't it? So India is standing number 3 in the global cancer burden. So that is why we are concerned about cancer, and we want to create awareness in the minds of healthcare professionals. So in India, it is not only that cancer is happening more, but there is a delay in diagnosis. Our patients are coming with very late stages of cancer, and you might have heard some of the people discussing that when they got diagnosed, it was already very late. It was the last stage of cancer. And the statistics are very surprising that 75% of the patients in India are getting diagnosed in advanced stages. So once they get diagnosed, they don't have money to get treatment. There is a delay in the treatment, or they can't see, they're in urban areas. They go to the, suppose you are in Mumbai, you will go to Tata Memorial, get treated. People in Bangalore, they'll get the healthcare professionals. But in villages, in rural areas, they don't even, sometimes they have to travel 200 or 300 kilometers to consult an oncologist. So there is a scarcity of health infrastructure also in India. And you might be knowing, I'll discuss the treatment of cancer in detail later. The treatment, it is not like one time affair. It is not like you get surgery and you are done with it. You have to take chemotherapy, you have to take radiotherapy. It's a long treatment. It may span up to 6 months to 1 year. So our people, either they run out of time, money or time, or they'll not be interested. They'll take incomplete treatment. Again, the cancer will bounce back, and so we are losing lot of lives in India. So that's why cancer is very important. So let me tell you one thing about cancer. It is very aggressive. We learned that it is uncontrolled proliferation of cells, uncontrolled cell division, but it not only grows and becomes a tumor, but it also invades the blood vessels. It will leave its seeds to the bloodstream, and wherever blood circulates, it goes and it spreads. It spreads to the brain, liver, bones. So that is why cancer is very dangerous. It doesn't grow at, it doesn't sit at one place. It keeps growing and it spreads to the whole body. So let's take this breast cancer as an example for stage. Suppose there is a the patient is totally normal. There is something called stage 0 also. So one more thing about cancer is it doesn't grow in one day or 1 month. It would have taken many decades to grow. In many interesting studies, it is known, it is seen that what the mother eats during her pregnancy, it can affect the baby's the baby in the womb may get cancer because of what mother is eating. So suppose mother eats lot of fatty food and lot of oily food, the baby in the womb, when she becomes a young lady, she may get breast cancer. So it spans over many decades, and what we eat during college, that same thing continues in our whole life also. And over the years, cancer may develop. So the stage 0 is where it is still growing. It hasn't become cancer yet. So then comes the stage 1. There is a lump in the breast, and if the lady is not vigilant, if she is not taking care of herself, she will say, okay, there is a lump, but I am not having any pain. I am all right. I'll not go to the doctor. So she will let her grow for some time. It will grow, and it will spread to the local lymph nodes. So once it goes to the lymph nodes, it becomes stage 2. And once it affects the local structures like rib cage, the muscles, or the skin. It will ulcerate. So I work in a tier 2 city, and I see so many ladies coming. Once it starts to ooze pus and it ulcerates, that is when they become they think that, oh, something is wrong, so now I should go to the doctor. It's already stage 3. So if she leaves for some more time, it will spread to her lungs, liver, brain, and finally sometimes we get patients who come with seizures. They are unconscious. Once we do the evaluation, we come to know that it was actually breast cancer which has spread to the brain. So it spreads, and so this is the window of opportunity for us. Stage 1 and stage 2 are curable. So any stage, any cancer which is detected in early stages are always curable. And in advanced stages also, even though it is an advanced stage, thanks to the pharmaceutical inventions, that even stage 3 and stage 4 we are giving wonderful results. So but anyway, we shouldn't wait for the cancer to reach stage 4. We have to be vigilant. So let's learn how to catch these cancers early. And what are the so yeah, so these early stages are very important because they are curable, and advanced stages also we can still control. So cure is when you can give 100% result and cure it off. But in stage 3 and stage 4, we can only control it, and we can improve the lifespan of the patient. So what are the causes of cancer? First one is age. As we age, we get more cancers. So suppose you have bought a bike. The new bike, it will be good for say 5 years or 10 years. After 10 years, then you get small problems with the engine, and other small problems will start, and then the repair work will start, isn't it? So our human body is also like a bike only. As we age, there is lot of wear and tear, lot of genetic many mutations keep happening. As we grow older, the more exposure to the chemicals, both endogenous as well as exogenous. So as we age, the risk of cancer is more. And gender, so some of the cancers are more common in women, some are more common in men. So breast cancer we see more in women, and these prostate, testicular cancers, they are more common in men. And the smoking related cancers, tobacco related cancers are also more in men. So students, you're all very young and energetic, and this tobacco is always bad. It's a very bad addiction, and in many surveys it is seen that 1/3 of all the cancers are tobacco related. So when you are in college, it may become a trend that people may say that, oh, this one, he doesn't smoke, he's not he's a coward. But it's really, it is you don't have to be ashamed of not smoking or not chewing gutka or anything. So I think you should always take care of yourself, and shouldn't indulge in these kind of habits like tobacco and alcohol. They're very bad, and it causes many cancers. Like see, tobacco is such a bad thing. The moment you start chewing, no, so it affects your lips, oral cavity, wherever it goes, no, throat, larynx, then esophagus, stomach, wherever it goes, it burns your epithelium, and it causes so many cancers. And smoking causes lung cancer, so you are all aware of it. So even, and doing both tobacco plus alcohol is cumulative, and it is more dangerous. And one important thing is genetics. So it is seen that many of the cancers have a tendency to run in families, especially breast cancer, ovarian cancer, these cancers of the stomach, colon. They run in families, and if you have any family member who was diagnosed with cancer, you should always opt for genetic screening and screen yourself whether you have the risk for cancer. And lifestyle, the most important thing today for cancer predisposition is our lifestyle. So you are all very young and dynamic people. See, you should make it a habit to exercise every day. So you may have your projects, you may have your classes, but still half an hour of exercise every day is very important. Have you heard of this quote, sound mind in a sound body? So your body has to be sound, so you have to exercise. And if you make it a habit now, as you grow up, you will have your own kids, you will keep this tradition of your daily exercise. So it's very important. And it is like brushing your teeth. You should not say that, oh, I don't have time for exercise. We never say that we don't have time for brushing our teeth, isn't it? So obesity, it's very important to prevent obesity as we become overweight, as we, and you should always be health conscious of what you eat. So the food that we are eating today, it is all full of chemicals. So the moment seed is sown, from that time we put lot of fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides. So the food we eat is already contaminated. And if we overeat that lot of junk food, and if we don't do exercise, then slowly we become fat. Not only our appearance will be affected, our health is also affected. So we should always try to prevent obesity. And there are many viral infections. HIV, this HIV causes many cancers like lymphomas, and this human papilloma virus. It's very important to take this human papilloma virus vaccine. So this human papilloma virus, it causes the cancer of the uterine cervix, and it is easily prevented with a shot of vaccine. So if you are already not vaccinated, you should take any ladies aged between 14 years to 45 years can take this vaccine and prevent cervical cancer. And hepatitis B and C, they cause this liver cancer. And thanks to our Indian government, it is giving hepatitis B vaccine free of cost from the babies, from the day babies are born. So with hepatitis B vaccination, we are able to control this hepatocellular carcinoma. So this is in brief. See, if you see the causes, some are modifiable and some are non-modifiable. So like age, gender and genetics, it is all fixed. So that we cannot have any control over, but the rest of the things we can definitely control, and we can prevent cancer in many ways. So what are the symptoms of cancer? So when patients come to me, I tell them that, see, you have got cancer and it is an advanced stage cancer. Then they'll tell me, Madam, I never understood that it could be cancer. I had this lump in the breast, but I never knew that it could be cancer. So had I known the symptoms of cancer, I would have come early to you. So that is the importance of being aware of the situation, right? So as we discussed, any cancer is an uncontrolled cell division causing a tumor, isn't it? So it presents itself as a swelling. So if it is breast cancer, they'll have swelling in the breast, or if it is osteosarcoma, like the bone cancer, they'll have swelling in their arm or leg. So any swelling which you notice is abnormal. So you get any swelling, you have to be cautious that it could be cancer. And as the tumor grows, it ulcerates, so it causes bleeding. So if it is in the oral cavity, there will be blood from the mouth. If it is lung cancer, they'll cough up blood. If it is stomach cancer, they'll vomit, they'll have blood vomiters. And if it is in the intestines, they'll have blood in the stools. So any bleeding, see, why is blood red in color? I think it is to alarm you that the moment you see blood, you should be alarmed. and you should consult a doctor. So see, as a pharma student, you will be considered very high in your families, isn't it? So you are studying pharmacy, so they'll ask you, having this blood from my nose or from stools. So you should always tell them that it is not a good sign. So you should consult a doctor, get evaluated. And any non-healing ulcer, so that any ulcer which is not healing could be cancer. And a patient is having weight loss, unexplained weight loss. So suppose you are doing dieting, you are on a diet regimen, you are exercising vigorously, you are losing weight, that is understandable. But if you are losing weight without any reason, you are not having the appetite, so unexplained weight loss can always be cancer. So if any of these danger signs are, if the patient or any of the anyone is experiencing any of these symptoms, it could be cancer. So they have to get evaluated. So what happens in India is we are all doctors ourselves. We have this Dr. Google in our hand. We will Google and we will see what it could be. So it is always better to consult a doctor. You don't have to go to an oncologist. You go to your primary health care, whoever family doctor you have, you consult your doctor. And the one more important thing is they self-medicate. So, oh, I'm having a little epigastric discomfort, I'll take, okay, this is gastric, I'll take antacids. So we self-medicate ourselves. We are all we are all experts of home remedies and over-the-counter medicines. They'll go to the chemist and take Pan-D, take it themselves. So in that way, many of the stomach cancers are getting detected in very late stages, and no respect for what doctor asks for. Suppose I ask them to get an endoscopy, what the madam always asks for investigation. She will ask for endoscopy. Why did she ask for CT scan? Was it required? So we have this habit of not obeying the orders of a professional. So that there are all hurdles that we are facing in the early detection of cancer. So yeah, let's come to, this is the hardcore subject. I'll not take more than 10 minutes. So this is where you and me come into picture, the treatment of cancer. So I told you, if it is early stages, we can do surgery and remove the tumor. So that is for early stages only, you do surgery. And then to prevent recurrence, you have to give chemotherapy. And you can give also radiation. They are these invisible X-ray like rays which kill the tumor cells. And equally important is the supportive care, where we give pain control, psychological counseling, nutrition. That is all the supportive care. So chemotherapy, see, I'm a medical oncologist. So if I were doing surgery, I would be called surgical oncologist. If I were giving radiation, I would have been called radiation oncologist. And I'm a medical oncologist. I treat cancer with the help of medicines. So that is chemotherapy. Not only chemotherapy, many more things are there. So let us discuss how pharmaceutical industry, the drugs have revolutionized the treatment of cancer today. So yeah, this is about radiation. See, the patient will go and lie down on the couch. They'll mark the tumor and they'll give this radiation. It's like laser. So that will kill the tumor. This is about radiation. So yes, this is the role of pharmaceuticals. So let us understand what is chemotherapy. Chemo is chemicals and therapy is treatment. So treating cancer with the help of medications, either tablets or injections, that is called chemotherapy. So it's a very interesting story. So many of this revolution in the field of chemistry happened in during the World War II. So there was this chemical warfare. They were using this nitrogen mustard gas. So mustard, it wasn't prepared using mustard, but it had the smell of mustard. So they use this mustard gas to chase away the soldiers. And some of the soldiers who had this neck lymph node masses, they are telling that it is thought of to be lymphomas, and all the soldiers had tumor shrinkage. So that gave the clue that there is something in this nitrogen mustard, and we have to do more research. More research was done, and two very eminent scientists, you might have heard their name, Dr. Goodman and Dr. Gilman. Have you heard of these names? So in medical school, in our pharmacology, we had this book by Goodman and Gilman, and it's a very big book. We wouldn't read the whole book, but we used to refer for learning some small points. You have heard of Goodman and Gilman?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
we have.
Yes, correct. So it was Goodman and Gilman who refined these nitrogen mustards, and even today we are using nitrogen mustards to treat brain tumors. So that started this whole new specialty called medical oncology, where we started using medicines, injections, and tablets to cure, and it was very dramatic. So it was World War was around 1940s, no? So before that, they had only two modalities. One was surgery, the other one was radiation. You have heard of Marie Curie, no? So Madame Curie, she invented these radiation radionuclides, and they were using this radiation for treating cancer. So they had reached a saturation point. Beyond that, they were not able to give cure. But with the addition of this chemotherapy, they could even cure many of the diseases. So chemotherapy, you might have heard of stories of horror stories of chemotherapy. They'll have this hair loss, they'll have nausea, vomiting. A lot of side effects are caused by chemotherapy. So basically, it is very non-specific. So they are chemicals. They kill all the rapidly dividing cells in our body. So all these other our hair follicles, oral and GI mucosa, bone marrow, they all get hit by chemotherapy. So it not only shrinks the tumor, but it causes lot of side effects: the nausea, vomiting, hair loss, bone marrow suppression. So this nausea, vomiting was so severe that my teachers in Kidwai Institute, they used to tell that patient used to call our professor for something, that okay sir, we are coming tomorrow, and at the sound, the voice of our sir, they used to start vomiting, it seems. So that's such a horrible thing, that any sight, or the moment they see the hospital, the moment they see the nurses, they used to start vomiting, it seems. So it's called anticipatory nausea, vomiting. So the moment they think of the hospital, they'll start vomiting. So such horrible side effects used to happen with chemotherapy. So we know that it is one size fits all. So it is not a customized thing. It is not tailor-made preparation. We are giving the same medicines to everyone. So it is causing a lot of trouble to the patients. So this is Paul Ehrlich. He is considered the father of chemotherapy. He was a German physician. So he came up with this idea that we shouldn't give non-specific medicines. We should have something like a magic bullet. It should hit only the tumor, and it shouldn't cause this off-label, this collateral damage should not happen. So we should have these magic bullets. So you in Ramayana, you might have heard of the stories of Rama's arrow. So if he shoots that arrow, it will hit only that demon, and it doesn't hit anyone else. So that's the magic bullet. So he thought that we should have some more refined medications. So then came the concept of targeted therapy. We should hit only the target. We should kill only the tumor cells and not the other cells. So today we have lot of ma'am was telling about this drug screening. So we are screening many drugs for just targeting the tumor and not causing any damage to normal cells. So see, this is the difference. You see, if you take a cell, this is a tumor cell. So it affects the nucleus and the chemotherapy. Chemotherapy will affect the dividing cells. So it concentrates on the nucleus. But this targeted therapy, it will affect the molecular pathway of the cells, and it will target only the epithelial, the receptors on the cell surface, so that only suppose the tumor cell has this target, then only the medicine will affect that person. So that is how this targeted therapy has come up, and it has come up in a very big way, and it is giving wonderful results even in last stage of cancer also. So there was a time when we were stuck with only biopsy report, histopathology. So this is Mona Lisa, right? So if you have a closer look, this is actually a collage. It is made of. So if you consider this as a tumor, it is not homogeneous. It is made up of small subunits. So that is the today's era of targeted therapy. So let's see how we'll take the example of lung cancer. And so initially we were banking only on biopsies, and we were depending on the histopathology, we used to give treatment. But today we are doing genetic testing, and we are seeing what mutations the patient is having. So we are having this, we are targeting each mutation, and we are giving targeted therapy to the patients. So so initially everyone, all the patients used to get chemotherapy, but now depending on the mutation, if they have EGFR mutation, we are giving EGFR therapy. If they have ALK mutation, they get ALK therapy. If ROS is affected, we give that particular targeted therapy is given. So it is giving great results. And this is a patient of my own, a 78-year-old male. He presented with cough and breathlessness of 15 days duration. He was a non-smoker. He was a retired teacher. He got diagnosed with lung cancer with brain, bone, and liver metastasis. So if this patient was treated in 1960s with only chemotherapy, he would have survived for 3 months. So this patient we evaluated, we did this genetic test, and he was EGFR mutation positive. So we started him on a targeted therapy called erlotinib, and he has survived for 15 months. So we have increased his lifespan 5 times more than what we could do with only chemotherapy. So that is the positive hope that the pharmaceutical industry is giving us. So that's about targeted therapy. And the latest and the most happening in the field of oncology is immunotherapy. So instead of passively giving agents to kill cancer, we are targeting our own immune system. So we have many killer cells in our immune system. We are training our own T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes to recognize cancer cells, and thereby our own soldiers will go and cause tumor shrinkage. So this is the field of immunotherapy. They are nothing but injections. So we are giving these immunotherapies to cause cancer tumor shrinkage. So these are called immune checkpoint inhibitors. So there are these PD-1, PD-L1 inhibitors, these CTLA inhibitors. So these are the most happening in the field of immunotherapy today. And these are the two researchers. They invented this PD-L1 and PD-1 inhibitors, and they were awarded Nobel Prize in 2018. So I was just yesterday, I was looking into your college website, and there were these photos of students. They are winning this championship in Avishkar. So I thought that we should not see, traditionally Indians are considered users We are not considered innovators. If you go to these international conferences and all, Americans are always considered innovators. They will innovate. They will make Apple watch. They'll make Apple phone, and we all want to buy. They consider us users. They think that we cannot be creative. We cannot create anything. But after seeing your college website, I thought our country has a lot of potential. So all you young minds should align yourself. You make use of this nice college that you have, and your teachers, they spoke very well about you. When I told about this Avishkar, your madam said that it's just a small thing. Our students, they are very proactive. They have done so many better things, and we are still updating our website. So I was really thrilled to know that students are so interested in innovating. So when this immunotherapy came to the market, it came in 2016. Until then, none of us, even our teachers, had not given immunotherapy because it wasn't there in India at all. So I went to Singapore for one of the workshops on immunotherapy, and we had a speaker from Texas. He said that his lab had 13 Nobel laureates. Isn't that wonderful that a lab is getting 13 Nobel prizes? So I wish all of you great success in your career. You should always be innovators. And unfortunately, in India, this pharmacy industry isn't considered very happening, but you have chosen the right field, and you can make a lot of impact on the lives of patients with cancer and also other patients. So you should feel very proud of yourself, and you should always make use of your opportunity in your college and come up in life. So yeah, this in just a last slide summarizing all that we have learned. So in 1970s, it was chemotherapy, and very recently, just in 2007, this targeted therapy started. And 2007 onwards, we have a lot of targeted therapy options. And in 2016, we got these immunotherapies, and it has totally revolutionized the field of cancer. And we should tell all these things to our Hindi film producers and directors. They should make some nice movie giving lot of hope to the patients, and not scare them away that they are going to die and all. So that is how pharmaceuticals have revolutionized the treatment of cancer. So this medical oncology is a very young, and see, it started only in 1970s, but surgical and all, they started in 1800s. So medical oncology is the most happening thing, and it is giving lot of hope to patients with cancer. So these are my cancer survivors. We did this World Cancer Day on February 4th, and a lot of all my patients had come. And this is a doctor. He's preparing for his MD exams. So a doctor, he had blood cancer, and we use both chemotherapy and targeted therapy, and he's cured of cancer now. So these are some of my pediatric survivors. This one is a breast cancer survivor. So so that I'll just wind it off. So cancer needs multidisciplinary team of specialists, and you and me, medical oncologists and pharma industry is a big part of cancer treatment. Cancer is curable, and the only thing is patient should stay positive and fight the cancer. Targeted therapy, it is a customized and tailor-made medicines, and along with immunotherapy, it has improved the survival of a lot of patients today. So thank you for your patient listening, and for more updates on cancer, you can follow me on Instagram at Dr. Aparna Srivatsa, oncologist. And it was very nice to have you all. So if you have any questions, I will take it up now.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us like an in-depth knowledge of cancer. as well as teaching us that there is a timeline which is followed in the development of how cancer has developed over the years, as well as giving a filmy and entertaining touch to it. So I think our audience has taken a very nice message home. And so now our audience is very keen and has been patiently waiting to have their queries answered. So requesting the participants to raise their doubts in the chat box, or you all can also raise your hands as well. So ma'am, we have like one question already there, so in the chat box, so we would like to start with that. So the question is asked by Yashvi. How will normal people unaware about the disease be able to self-analyze themselves in order for early detection?
Yes. So this early detection, you are telling about early detecting it themselves, right? So that can happen only for accessible organs. See, skin, we can know that this melanoma is there. There is a cancer of skin. They say that you keep examining your skin. You see any black spots, any new black spot, or then you will come to know. And oral cavity, suppose you are a tobacco chewer, so you can see your own oral cavity every day. And if you see any new growth, anything which is new, new ulcer or a mole in your oral cavity, you have to consult your doctor. And another thing is breast self examination. See, breast is an accessible organ, whereas in the abdomen you cannot palpate your own liver or kidney, isn't it? You can't palpate your or internal organs, but breast is an accessible organ. So every woman, she has to be breast aware. So you feel your breast, and if you have any lump, any swelling, if you feel, you have to consult the doctor. So your own body you can only do for these organs. The other organs you cannot know, and that is another reason why we diagnose these cancers very late, because you can't palpate your own organs.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so it's a question which I personally had. Like we know that cancer spreads a lot, and you know everyone feels very gloomy about it. They are like, yeah, like life is gonna end, and we have a lot of tablets to take and a lot of chemo sessions. So ma'am, is there any tip or any way in which we can keep them upbeat and we can keep them and keep giving them like hope, or there are any activities as such where, you know, we can encourage patients that yes, they can and will get through this?
Yes, we do this cancer survivor groups we create, and where these people who have already finished that phase of treatment, they have finished all their treatment and they are living happily ever after. So all these cancer survivors which I talked about, they will stand like leaders, and they will tell them that it's okay, you can just finish this transient period of treatment where you'll have a lot of side effects, but you will get cured. So we have these psychologists and counselors. They will counsel them, and also their family members. The first thing which happens in India is all the children, everyone will start crying, and all the family relatives, they'll come and they'll start crying with them and all. So we'll counsel them and motivate them.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, by the time others raise their hand, I would like to ask one question, which is regarding the treatment. With respect to chemotherapy, it's seen that many patients are not able to afford chemotherapy. So there are certain organizations who support their cause, but are there any websites which would help them, at least for either for financial support or in case the patient needs accommodation or any other resources which can be made available to them? Because if the patient is outstation patient,
Yes,
it creates
ma'am.
a lot of trouble for the family members as well. So are there any
Yes, that's a
websites
very
for
valid
such?
point, ma'am. Actually, our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, he has started this new scheme, ma'am. It was, I mean, not very new. It is called Ayushman Bharat, and it gives chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation also in it. But even though everything is sponsored, the government is sponsoring all the medications, but still patients are not coming because they have to travel. The travel expenses they are not able to manage themselves, ma'am. So they require a lot of financial help. There are many NGOs and there are many websites, ma'am. Yeah, we can provide them with we can create a help group, and we can provide this fundraising. Lot of fundraising happens in social media also, ma'am.
Yeah, because I have seen on, especially on Facebook,
Yes, ma'am.
people urge for financial help, and then
Yes.
they have
Yes.
depositories. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So are there any such options at your hospital, or it's normally through NGOs?
Because this it is covered under this national schemes, no, ma'am.
Mm.
Only the hospital itself has tie up with the NGOs, and they provide this travel fare, this TADA they give, so that they are managing, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yes, Sapna.
Ma'am, one more question. Are there any like mainstream drugs which like we know the anti-cancer drugs which are present, but we know that somewhere down the line they don't turn out to be that effective. A person has to undergo therapy or chemotherapy for complete eradication. So, is there any drug which has come up or some research in that area where giving a drug can cure cancer?
Yes, definitely. We have many drugs, many chemotherapeutic agents. We have targeted therapy, which can cause a cancer cure, but that cure happens only in stage 1 and stage 2. But when it has grown, it will start seeding your whole body. Once it has seeded your whole body, then you cannot eradicate it 100%. But still, you can only control it. So, see, cancer in one, but it is not one disease. There is a brain cancer, breast cancer, tongue cancer. So each different cancer has a different medication. So these chemotherapeutic agents, they don't work the same way, in a uniform way in all cancers. So for breast cancer, we give a different chemo. For GI cancer, it is different. So it is not, cancer is not a single disease. It has varied phases.
So, ma'am, is there any one drug which is very effective or like targets multiple areas?
Yeah, many of these immunotherapy, because it stimulates your own body, so it has this potential for causing cure even in last stage of cancer. In lung cancer, we use this molecule called pembrolizumab. Okay, so this pembrolizumab has given cures even in stage 4 cancers. So if I have to take one name, maybe it is pembrolizumab.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, we have one more question from Jay. He's asking, is targeted therapy 100% efficient? Like, there are chances that it might damage the non-cancer cells as well.
Yeah, even targeted therapy can have some side effects, but it is not as bad as chemotherapy. Even targeted therapies, because the same I told you about the cell surface receptors. So this tumor cell will have the receptor. Our normal cells also will have some same receptors. So there will be some side effects which can happen even with targeted therapy, but it is not as bad as chemotherapy. It is all relative. I agree with him that even targeted therapy can have side effects, but it's a little better with targeted therapy.
Ma'am, Jay has a question. So, if he could like enable his mic.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
So I was curious about the newest cancer treatment. So can you give a gist on the immunotherapy, like how it functions actually?
Okay. So I didn't tell the details of it because I wasn't sure you might understand it or not. Okay. So what happens is, suppose there is a tumor cell. So you have to answer me whether a tumor cell is a self or non-self. Is it foreign body or it is your own cell? Tumor cell. There is a tumor in your body. It is a lung cancer. So is it self or non-self?
Self.
It is self, correct? It is your own body cell, right? It is. So how cancer starts is, it is your own cell. During cell division, it mutates. There is a mutation. Okay, normally such mutations are, there is something called DNA repair. So the DNA which has got mutated has to get repaired. So when the DNA repair does not happen, then mutation will arise. So because of that mutation, the cell gets the capability to keep on dividing. So normal cells, they divide for 10, 12 times and they die, or they become old. There is something called senescence. They become very senile and they'll age and they will stop dividing. Okay. So these mutated cells, they become like monarchs. They are like rogues. So they keep dividing and they keep growing. Tumor forms. Okay, so normally our immune system, there are many of our soldier cells, they're all killer cells. So they find out that this cell is not my cell. It doesn't look like my normal cell. It is a bad cell. Okay, it tries to attack this mutated cell because there is that mutation which is new. Though it is our own cell, it has that mutation which is bad. So our immune cells start to attack this rogue cell, that is a tumor cell. But this tumor cell has a strategy. Okay, it is called immune. Wait, so what it does is it has these MHC complexes. So that is major histocompatibility complexes. They are all, so all our cells, whether it is tumor cell or the normal cell, they have this MHC. So it will go and tell the immune cell that, see, I am your own brother. See, I also have the same structure. Like, see, MHC is like blood group. See, AB positive, we say one is B positive, another one is A positive. So similarly, these MHC complexes are there on the cells, which is unique to every person. So if I test my MHC and your MHC, it will be different. So this tumor cell, it does this emotional blackmail to the killer cells, and it says that, see, I'm your own, I'm your brother, you shouldn't kill me. So that is called immune evasion. Okay, so it will evade the immune system and it will start growing. Okay, so this is where, for causing that immune evasion, these PD-1 and PDL1, these molecules are required. So so it has kind of blinded our immune cells. So it has told the immune cells that you should not kill me. So that blinding effect is caused by this that immune checkpoint markers. And what immunotherapy does is, immunotherapy will go back and it will tell our immune cells that, see, he is a bad fellow, you have to kill him. So it will activate our own immune system. So in simplistic ways, this is how immunotherapy works. So it will kind of revoke your own immune system, and that's how your immune system will tackle your tumor.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so
Do
much.
you understand at least some of it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
You
got it.
can read more about it. It's very interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, so we have a few more questions. So for the last, can there be cases when someone cannot undergo chemotherapy? So in that case, what can be done?
So you are very right. So many times the patient is already very weak and they come on wheelchairs and on stretchers, that they're very worn out because of the cancer. So in that cases, your full dose of chemotherapy we cannot give, because if we give such high bombs of chemotherapy, they will die of the side effects of chemotherapy rather than the disease itself. So in that case, we do something called metronomic chemotherapy. Okay, so you normally, traditionally, chemotherapy is given once in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's a big mega dose that we give, like bombs, and we give it once in 3 weeks. So that's a very high dose of chemotherapy. So sometimes when high doses do not work, small doses work. So we just cut the doses into minuscule doses and we give it every day like tablets. That is called metronomic chemotherapy, and in small dose, because the patient is very fragile. Sometimes they are very old. So today I had a 89-year-old patient who was COVID positive. And they did the HRCT for COVID, and they found a lung mass, and it had spread to the whole body, and still that patient was alive. I don't know how they had such strong defense that with cancer also that patient was surviving. So in such patients, 89-year-old, COVID positive, already very frail. So in such patients, we give very small doses of chemotherapy in the form of tablets. That is called metronomic chemotherapy. It works, and it just gets it controls the disease for a while, so that patient's lifespan is prolonged.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, so in certain cases, as we discussed, related to blood cancer, that it spreads throughout the body. So, like, how can we detect it? Because it will be too late till you come to know that it has reached. Because blood cancer, you can't detect it as such. Because in breast cancer, as you said, you can at least feel something or you realize there's something wrong. What about blood cancer then?
So usually for blood cancers, we do a bone marrow examination. So for that, there is no lump. They will just have fatigue, and they will look pale, and they'll get a blood test, and they'll come to know that they have their blood is studded with these leukemic cells and all. So that time we do this bone marrow examination. We take out the bone marrow from the bones and examine it. That is how we diagnose these blood cancers.
Ma'am, Pooja has asked this question. Can genetic testing predict reoccurrence of cancer?
Yes, many tests we do, and routinely we do for lung cancer, and many genetic tests are there which can predict whether the disease can come back again in the same person. And also we have this hereditary cancer syndromes where from mother the daughter can get cancer. So that also we can predict the family members also we can predict in genetic hereditary syndromes. And also for the same patient, whether the disease will come back again, we can do genetic testing.
Ma'am, Bhirisha has asked, why are parenterals utilized in cancer? What urges the need for parenterals?
No, can you repeat the question again?
When are parenterals used in cancer, and what urges the need for those parenterals?
Parenterals, is it? Not understanding.
Yes,
Can you spell? Huh.
Like, ma'am, the injectables which are given many of the times, like the parenteral route, like IV infusion.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So, like,
Okay.
why
I
are they
think
utilized?
you are asking when to give parenteral and when to give oral. Is that the question?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's the
Yeah.
question.
So usually it is given parenterally, but sometimes when the patient is fragile, we do give oral. Sometimes we give a combination. That patient will take the injection in the hospital and goes home and takes oral chemotherapy also. We give a combination also sometimes.
Ma'am, so we have like one question which is for Abhi recent times related. So like now since we have COVID and stuff, so can cancer patients take the COVID vaccine? Are there any
Yes.
problems or issues which
There
might
is no problem. So we have this 3 vaccines in our country: Covishield, Covaxin, and Sputnik V. All 3 are safe in patients with cancer. They have to take the vaccine. Only problem is sometimes when they are taking chemotherapy, they will have this the platelet count will fall. Okay, so as you know, it's an intramuscular. It is given to the muscle. The vaccine is injected into the muscle. So if their platelet count is low, they'll have a hematoma. They'll have a swelling. They'll bleed into their muscle. So if they are taking chemotherapy, they have to check their platelet count, and only if the platelet count is normal, they have to take. So suppose there are cancer survivors. They have finished all their treatment. They're doing well now. They have to take vaccine. And you may remember when the vaccination drive started, COVID vaccination, these cancer patients were considered high risk patients and they were given vaccine on a priority basis. And all students also will have to take vaccine above 18 years. There, I think, what is happening in Mumbai? Are they giving vaccine to 18 plus?
Yes, ma'am. It has been started.
Yes, you have to take your vaccine first. Yeah.
Ma'am, so we have the last question for the evening. And the question is, there is a lot of discussion about natural ways to reduce the growth rate of cancer cells, such as fruits, vegetables, etc. In your opinion, based on your experience, how much have they been successful, the natural ways?
Yes. Yes. So 2 things we have to understand. So you see your WhatsApp or social media, a lot of things are many people without any authority, they give many tips and sometimes so you have to understand 2 things. One is cancer prevention. Second one is already you have cancer, you are taking cancer treatment. So these fruits and vegetables, antioxidants, green tea, they do not help after you have developed cancer. See, cancer has already happened in a body which is already damaged by so many this pollution, your own chemically contaminated food that has damaged your body. You have already got cancer. After development of cancer, these antioxidants may not help. They don't cure cancer, but in cancer prevention, they have a definite role. So our body has lot of our food has a lot of oxidants and they cause this free radical damage. So in that, your fruits and vegetables, they have a definite role. And to handle that free radical stress, fruits and vegetables, they definitely help, and they do help in cancer prevention also, especially in colon cancer. It is well known, it is proven beyond doubt that fruits and vegetables, fibers, they all help. Okay, and you're all youngsters, no? You may be staying in hostels and you may not be eating fruits and vegetables. So you should make it a habit to buy some. So my younger sister is a surgeon. So in her hostel, she used to get bags of this Kurkure, Lays, Pepsi, and all. So along with those bags, you should buy some fruits and vegetables also, and have some at least see, the recommendation is 5 servings of fruits or vegetables every day. So in hostels, they'll fish out all the good like paneer and all, they'll fish out and you'll be left with only gravy, isn't it? So you should help yourself with fruits and vegetables daily.
Ma'am, I think we have one last question and then we can move ahead. Just a minute. So, ma'am, it's like one of the students, it's a personal question at their end. So the person, he or she, the person has cancer, and they have just taken the COVID vaccine right now. So, and they are not undergoing chemotherapy because they are like hesitant at the fact that their platelet count will decrease or something, because already they have taken the vaccine recently. So it's like, so should they do some other test to first measure the platelet count and then undergo the therapy?
Yeah, you just get a blood test. There is something called complete blood count, CBC. Okay, CBC is the test. You just go to any lab, you get yourself tested, check your platelet count, and then, and in COVID time, see, COVID is here to stay. It will stay for some more time. So they should not delay their vaccines. They should not delay their chemotherapy also. So many patients, they didn't come to the hospital thinking that if they come to hospital they'll get COVID. Correct. So they have to, you always, even students also, you should wear your mask properly, cover your nose and mouth properly, and you should go ahead with your schooling or college. And similarly, patients should take their treatment. So they should not delay the cancer treatment because of fear of COVID.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering all our questions. Now I would like to invite Arundhati ma'am to felicitate ma'am with a token of appreciation on our behalf for sparing her valuable time from a busy schedule and gracing this occasion.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, just a minute. We'll be sharing one slide.
Should I stop sharing my thing?
Oh, yeah, okay, ma'am. That might help.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, we really appreciate your efforts in addressing all our queries, and it has been really a wonderful session. You have addressed right from scratch the basics of it up to the treatment, meticulously explained everything to our students, and I am very confident that the students must be very positive about it. So, we appreciate all your efforts for sparing your valuable time today. And on behalf of our college, on behalf of the organizers, I would like to present you this certificate of appreciation. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Pleasure was mine, and there were nearly 100 participants, and they were all very curious. And I'm sure it might have given them food for thought. And I wish them all the success in their career. And I'm sure many of them I may meet in the future as investigators and as principal investigators for many trials of pharmaceuticals.
Thank you, ma'am. That's very inspirational. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, Sakina.
Ma'am, one of our faculty has raised their hand, so if we could enable their mic, I think they have a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sakina. Ma'am, actually, I don't have a question, but I really loved the way you took the students through this entire session, the way they understand. So, I really loved your way of making things so simple for them to get absolutely to the point information. Nice, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Actually, it is very surprising for me also, because students, if your own faculty is presenting, they have to come, isn't it? So for an external, I didn't expect so many students to come. That means they are very genuine and they really want to learn. And what Arundhati ma'am told about her students, she was so proud of her students and she actually knew her students. So I really love the culture of teacher-student relationship in your college. That's really wonderful.
Thank you, ma'am. I think now we can move ahead with the vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. So we would like to thank Dr. Aparna for gracing us on this occasion with with her presence and guiding us towards cancer awareness. We would also like to thank our principal madam for being the support system for all the initiatives we take, and the coordinates for her constant guidance. We also would like to thank our patient audience for always supporting and participating in our ventures. Thank you.
Sakina, you are muted. You'll have to unmute yourself, Sakina.
Ma'am, would you like to say something?
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, he missed out one. Thank you to the organizing student members. They have been working hard for this event, and they have made it a good success overall. So he has missed out one important pillar in that. So for the participant
Thank you,
students,
ma'am.
we would be pasting one quick feedback in the chat box. So requesting the participant students to kindly fill the same. Okay. So just let us know if you all have any issue in filling the form. Okay. Okay.
So we,
Yes.
ma'am, can I continue? So we would bid farewell to this evening and hoping to come back with newer and better events for everyone. Feedback link will shortly be pasted in the chat box. Please make sure to fill the feedback link because your feedback is valuable to us. A very large thank you and a lot of appreciation to Aparna ma'am for gracing this occasion today. And thank you everyone for making this a great success. Till then, stay safe, stay inspired, keep learning, and be innovative. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.